Greetings and thanks for checking into the Friday 13th YouTube channel. Much love and respect for everybody who's subscribed and supported me throughout this channel. So today we're going to be talking about a new release that's coming out. It's by a band called Kill Ritual, about to release their new album on Massacre Records. It's called In My Head. It's released on the 21st of November of this year. So check out this review, folks. Thanks for watching. Now, folks, these guys were formed back in 2010 from Jam Source in California. Now, these guys, like I say, were formed back in 2010. The band have released 6 previous albums. Some of you may have the albums, and if you don't, I'm going to tell you what the album titles are right now, so you can check out some of the previous work. Since the formation back in 2010, the band released their debut album in 2012. This was called the Serpentine Ritual, and this was released on Italian label Scarlet Records. Since the release of the band's debut album in 2014, the band had released their second album. This was called The Eyes of Medusa. And this album was released on a label called Golden Core Records. In 2015, the band released their third album. This was called A Karma Machine, released on Scarlet Records. In 2018, the band released their fourth album. This was called All Men Shall Fall, released on Dissonance Productions, The Opaque and The Divine. This was released in 2020. Also for Dissonance Productions. The band released their next album in 2022. This was called Kill Star Black Mark Dead Hand Pierced Heart. And this was released on Massacre Records, and this will be followed by the band's last album. This was called In My Head, released in 2025. Having listened to the band's debut album, The Serpentine Ritual, these guys kind of remind me on this debut of a band called Imagika, also a band called Malaya Rage, and US power metal band Power Mad. As I already mentioned the band Imagika, this lineup for Kill Ritual would feature the guitarist from Imagika. This would be Steve Rice. Now on this album, Steve is handling the guitars, the bass and synths. We'd also have on drums Seamus Gleason, and on vocals a guy called Judas. So this band are only a 3-piece, but Steve's handling most of the instruments with Seaman on drums, and also Judas on vocals. Now, this is a great follow-up to the band's previous album, like I said, was also released on Massacre Records. Now, this album comes with 10 tracks, so I'm going to tell you what the song titles are for this new album. We'd open up with the title track, In My Head, followed by Shadows on the Grave, 1,000 Years, Fly, Fall to Fly, Join or Die, I Paint in Death, The Hands of Judas, More Than Pain, My Love is Hate, Firebird, and the last song would be called The Elegant Demons. So without further ado, let's talk about the title track of the album, In My Head. Now this song, In My Head, kind of reminds me of, like I say, Imagika, which is quite understandable, considering it was Steve's band. It also reminds me of the band Forbidden. Now Judas is a great singer, especially when he sings the high notes. Kind of reminds me of former Forbidden singer Russ Anderson, and also a new Forbidden singer, Norman Skinner. This is a fantastic, strong opening track. It captures the pure essence and power of the full album. Now, this album was produced by Steve, and the mastering and mixing was handled by the one and only Andy LaRocque from King Diamond at his own studio, Sonic's Train Studios. And the overall production is fantastic. I guess you could also say this song also has early elements of Testament. Next is the song Shadow on Your Grave. This is a really good follow-up song to the previous song, as I've just mentioned, the title track. US power thrash is fantastic music. I'm a big fan of US power metal, so I can relate to this album, as I also like thrash metal as well. Somewhat, this album also reminds me of Winter's Bane. Now, Winter's Bane is Tim Ripper Owens' first band before he joined Judas Priest. If you've not heard Heart of the Killer, check out that album. It's a great album, released also on Massacre Records. Now, another band that springs to mind when I listen to this album is the one and only Hellstar, another fantastic band from Texas in the US of A. Now, the music is very, very powerful, yet beautifully composed album. The vocals by Judas is great. Like I said, if you are a fan of Rob Halford, Russ Anderson, or Norman Skinner, them type of vocalists, or James Riviera, this is a great album for you to check out. Some high-pitched vocals. Next is the song 1,000 Years. Now, this reminds me of the debut album by US power metal act Steel Prophet, who recorded the album The Godless Principle. Another great album. If you've not heard it, folks, try to check it out. You won't go wrong. Now, the whole album is a really strong, powerful power thrash metal album. And like I said, with a fantastic production, really does the songs justice and makes the album a very powerful, strong album. Next up is Fall to Fly, Join or Die. Now, this song kind of reminds me of Malaya Rage, especially with the first album, with a mixture of hellstyle vocals and music. All in all, this is a fantastic album, a great album to kind of finish the end of the year for 2025. I highly recommend this album. I'm going to tell you what other songs you should check out on this album that's coming out very soon. Also, check out the song I Paint in Death, The Head of Judas, My Love is Hate, and the song Firebird. If you like the band's previous albums, you're in for a treat. This is probably the best album they've done. All in all, this is a fantastic album. It's probably the best album the band have done so far. It would have been nice to hear Andy Rock doing a guitar solo on this album. However, it's still a great album. And if you're a fan of thrash metal, or power thrash, check out this album. It's by Kill Ritual. It's called In My Hand. It's released on Massacre Records on November the 21st. Check it out, metalheads. Enjoy. Thanks for watching.